Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 6, Chapter 29. The Supreme Physician. The Deha, body, is a vehicle that even gods aspire to possess. You know that gods seek to come into the human form, so that they could utilize the intelligence, discrimination, detachment, etc., that the human body alone is capable of exercising, to realize the ultimate reality, which, when known, makes everything else known. The body with which the hospital is concerned is the ratha, the chariot, of the individual, or the jivi, the dehi, the resident, the master. It is the castle from which one can fight against the foes of attachment and egoism. It is the boat by which one can cross the sea of change and chance. The realization of the reality through adhyatmic sadhana, spiritual discipline, is an arduous enterprise, as fraught with calamity as playing with fire, or dueling with tigers, or battling with barbarian hordes. One has to be alert, vigilant, and fully trained to meet all emergencies. Many quail before its impossible demands. The Upanishads have compared the aspirant's path to a razor's edge. Man is the monarch of all animals. He is the most glorious chance among all living beings. Though the elephant lives longer, the lion is more fierce, the eagle more far-seeing, the cock more punctual in early rising, the cow more imbued with the spirit of sacrifice. Man has in him vast potentialities, which can be brought out by proper culture. If only he intensifies his thirst for God, he can live in perpetual content, instead of groveling in perpetual discontent, pining for land, building, bank balance, furniture, status, power, authority, and all such trivial satisfactions. At last, when man is about to leave the world, as leave he must, he is surrounded by his wife and children, who lament loudly, asking, "What is going to happen to us when you leave?" But the poor fellow is confronted by a more urgent, a more personal problem. What is going to happen to me? And he has no more time to discover the answer or to prepare for something good to happen. Men born with a cry should die with a smile. In fact, if he had tried, he could have known the reality and gone with a smile, instead of a groan or a whine. Men are born with a helpless, lamenting cry. They should die with a smile of happy joy. That is the purpose of the years between. But those years are wasted now. God, who is the anchor that will save man from stress and storm, is neglected and ignored. Man is tossed about from one want to another, one grief to another, until he is blinded by despair and exhausted by foiled pursuits. Most illnesses are due to this despair and this exhaustion. The Deha, body, has to be nourished so that man can reach the Dehi, the real indweller. Bhishma taught from his bed of arrows that the body is to be fostered, since it is an instrument for good deeds. 3 fishers lived in a tank. One told the other 2 that the water was getting dry, and they would be well advised to leave before it was too late. But one said it could save itself when the contingency arose. The third was caught by a fisherman, though the first migrated early enough and the second managed to break through the net. Yama is the fisherman. Unless early notice is taken of the process of dying to which the tank of one's span of life is subject, one gets caught, migrate into the sea of grace, which will not dry, or learn the art of breaking through the net of death. It was the sattva guna, quality of goodness that moved on to God. The Rajoguna, quality of activism, broke the net. The Tamoguna, quality of inertia, got caught. Grow into the Sattvic stage and save yourself. Discard sloth, denounce fanaticism, and declare yourself a dedicated servant of the Lord. Then grace will be showered on you. Pronounce the Lord's name with love and joy. Namasmarana is the process by which this dedicatory attitude can be cultivated and confirmed. When confronted by calamity, you must attach yourself to this sadhana even more firmly, instead of losing faith in it and getting slack. The drug should not be given up when it is most needed. The pity is, when the first disappointment faces you, you lose courage and confidence, and give up on Rama or Krishna or Sai Baba. Another point about this Namasmarana. There are some who ejaculate Rama or Sai Rama or Mahadeva when they are disgusted with some happening, or when they are displeased or depressed, in a tone indicative of distance or unwelcome surprise. They say it with a sigh or a groan. This is wrong. The name of the Lord must always be pronounced with joy, thankfulness, exaltation, awareness of the uniqueness and the splendor. Say it with love. Say it with sincere yearning. There was a great sage who was bitten by a serpent during a yagna which he was celebrating. His disciples lamented the incident and cursed the wily reptile. But he quietened them and said, "No, the snake is a messenger from God. All beings are our kith and kin. This serpent is sent by God to liberate me from this body. Honor it, welcome it, do not beat the messenger of the Lord." Death is not a deplorable event. It is the journey's end, the owner's getting out of the car when the time is out and the goal is reached. It is a consummation, a happy conclusion, or at least it ought to be, if only all are wise enough to treat it as such and be prepared for it. A strong will is the best tonic. Buddha's father decided that he should get attached to the world and the senses. He built around his son a wall and a garden of delight and pleasure. But Buddha escaped into the atmosphere of detachment to discover the secret of human sorrow and devise a cure for it. Now, people seek to realize God while clinging onto the world and its fake joys. This is like the mother-in-law who hated her daughter-in-law so intensely that she wished she would become a widow. But she loved her son so much that she wanted him to live. How could the girl be widowed when the son lives? The two are incompatible. God cannot be gained through attachment to falsehood. You must have a proper sense of values. A woman attacked her husband's head with a pestle. The pestle broke and she bewailed its loss. But she did not worry much about the husband's head, which had also broken. Is this a sign of wisdom? Can you call it an awareness of values? The body is a house given to you for rent. The owner is God. Live there so long as He wills, thanking Him and paying Him the rent of faith and devotion. A strong will is the best tonic. They will become strong when you know that you are a child of immortality, or a person who has earned the grace of the Lord. Medicine and hospitalization are for those who doubt and hesitate and argue about this doctor being more efficient than the other, this drug being more powerful than the rest. For those who rely on the supreme doctor, his name is enough drug. The Pandavas had faith and devotion, so they won grace and they succeeded in defeating the wily stratagems of their foes. The reinforcements provided by the Lord are the most reliable means of support. When you get them, dishonor, defeat, and despair fade away like fog before the sun. Disease, too, dare not approach you. On this day, when the hospital is celebrating its anniversary festival, I advise you to avoid disease, to avoid drugs and hospitals by strengthening your spiritual urge and invoking the grace of God. Ananda is the best cure for mental depression. Mrs. McRae of New York spoke in her presidential address of her experiences in the mental clinics she runs in the United States, of the curative value of music. She has tried the same curative treatment in the hospitals for defectives in Hong Kong also. Ananda, spiritual bliss, is the best cure for mental depression. As a matter of fact, it is when the inner springs of Ananda are ignored that man gets depressed. India has recognized the salutary effect of music on the mind, its potency to restore calm and equanimity, to still the waves of agitation and worry. Music is the instrument by which passions are sublimated. Emotions are tamed, impulses directed to higher purposes. We have forgotten the great role assigned to music in our culture. We are admiring the lilts and jingles of the films and losing the profundities of classical music. People talk loud and long on Indian culture and its preservation and promotion, but when it comes to practice, they fail miserably. When this body had attained its 9th year, I had written a drama on this fundamental trait of modern man, saying one thing and doing its opposite. When Vedas are ignored, Vedana, pain, is the consequence. The teachings of the Upanishads and the Gita, which give all human activities the correct sense of proportion, are invaluable in preserving mental and physical health. They direct man along the paths of peace to the realm of inexhaustible bliss. Prashanti Nilayam, Dasara, Hospital Day, October 15th, 1966. You might say that karma of the previous birth has to be consumed in this birth, and that no amount of grace can save man from that. Evidently, someone has taught you to believe so, but I assure you, you need not suffer from karma like that. When a severe pain torments you, the doctor gives you a morphine injection, and you do not feel the pain, though it is still there in the body. Grace is like the morphine. The pain is not felt, though you go through it. Grace takes away the malignity of the karma which you have to undergo. Sri Sathya Sai Baba.